Hello everyone, my name is Palina. Welcome back to my channel Academia Watercolor. I haven't been posting for a really long time because I had a lot of stuff to do. I had to move to another country. I have a little 2-year-old daughter, so sometimes it's difficult to find time to paint, to edit the videos, but I'm back and I'm really excited to invite you to my new tutorial to paint those beautiful juicy cherries with watercolor. This is a great subject to practice wet and wet technique and layering. To help you, I will leave the photo reference in the description box below. Also, I will leave the link to my Etsy shop where you can find the outline for those cherries if you want to start right away with your painting. What else? Remember, the most important in every painting is not the finished result, it's the process. You have to enjoy the process because for me, it's kind of the best therapy I can have, the best kind of meditation I can have. So just grab your paints, take a deep breath, and let's paint together.
Okay, let's get started. For cherries, we are going to use only two colors. It will be vermilion and cobalt blue. So I'm going to start with only vermilion color. I'm going to cover the whole cherry. In the first layer, you should use a lot of water and you kind of build up the color with every layer. You go from light to dark in watercolor. So the first layer will be the lightest layer. And you should always check on the photo reference if you work with a photo reference. It's very helpful, so you have to see there how the light goes, where is the darkest part, where is the lightest part. First, I always try to analyze the photo reference. Now let's mix the vermilion with our blue, cobalt blue, and let's put it on the left part of the cherry after we add a little bit more of the red, and we cover the cherry, and we should leave the reflection, the highlight unpainted. Now on the photo reference we can see where is the shadow, so I should add more blue color there. I should add more like a violet color there. So I add it, and I try after to blend it on the right side of the cherry, because I can see on the photo reference that there is a reflection there. Now let's work a bit on the reflection of the other cherry. I lift up the color a little bit here. How I do it? I clean the brush and I dry it with paper, and after I lift the color while it's still wet. And the same I'm doing on the left side, because I think it's a bit dark right now, so I'm going to lift it. And we can see on the photo reference that the upside of the cherries is the darkest part of the cherries, and like downside of the cherries, it's the table reflection, I think. Now this one is a tricky part, because as you can see on the photo reference, there are a lot of like lines behind the cherry twig. So I'm going to work very carefully there, adding the shadows and adding the color. And now I have kind of a base of our first cherry, and I'm going to make it brighter. I just use more red color, and now adding a little bit more of blue color, so it will be much brighter. And the bottom part, right now I'm going to leave it as it. So we are adding the color, we are blending it well. We are always checking on the photo reference, and near the highlight it should be warmer. So near the highlight I'm going to leave the pure vermilion color, and the further away from the highlight we add more and more blue color in our vermilion. So now add a little bit more of the dark violet there near the twig, and blend a little bit the this bright part of the cherry that we just painted. How we blend it: we clean the brush, we dry it a little bit with the paper towel, and after we run the brush along the edge of the paint. Now, while it's still a bit wet, I'm going to add a bit more vermilion there and blend it very well with the darkest color. And let's start with the reflection of the other cherry. As we can see on the photo reference, it's the darkest part of this cherry, so I'm going to make it darkest with adding more of blue, and with a clean damp brush I'm just like blending a bit the edges of the painting, so it doesn't look very straight line, you know. It looks much softer when you do this. Now I'm going to work a bit more on the reflection of the table. I'm going to add there more like kind of bluish colors. Don't make it too dark, because remember it's much lighter than the cherry itself. So I'm using just the colors I have on the palette and just making it a bit darker, and I think after we will need another layer, but right now just working on this one, making this a bit darker. We still working, and all over the cherries we're going to work with just two colors, so it's much easier, you know, you don't get confused which color you should pick. You just, if you need something darker, you add more blue. If you need something like lighter and warmer, you add more red. And add a bit more of color on the reflection that I have there on the right side of the cherry as well. Also, I can see that there is a little like a white line there on the reflection of the table, so I'm going to lift up the color a little bit there. So I think that it's a bit too dark now, so I'm going to lift more color here. It's totally fine and okay, and I'm going to add more red near the highlight, so it looks better, I think. And here I'm blending that color that I just added with a damp clean brush, so it doesn't have really so it's well blended, you know, it looks soft and smooth. Now let's wait till this cherry is dry. Obviously we'll have to make it darker, the highlight, but while we are going to work on the second cherry, we start making it darker. We can see also that there is a big reflection on the white table, so we start equally as with the first cherry. First we cover it with more like a tone color. It's a kind of violet color that I mixed, and we can see that down there the cherry there is a dark area, and all those dark areas and light areas, it's what gives us the needed volume. Now I'm working on the upside of the cherry near and behind the twig. You should also check on the photo reference, because there are like a lot of lines and highlights, so you just paint them as you see them. And on my outline, which you can find in my Etsy shop, I'm going to like mark and show all those highlights. Let's add this beautiful red color near the highlight, the like principal highlight as well. You can see that now I just blended a little bit the edges of the highlight of the left cherry with just a damp brush, and now I'm keep working on the other cherry. So near the highlights it's red, and the more far away from the highlight, the more blue I add, so it's more violet. Okay, and I always blend the edges of the painting so it looks soft and nice. Now let's work on the left part of this cherry. You can see that as well it's darker, so I'm adding more like red color there, working very carefully so I don't like ruin the other cherry. Now blending a little bit the colors while still wet, and blending the edges of the highlight. Here I decided to take off a little bit the color because it looks for me like it's too bright. So I took it off. And now let's make the bottom part of this cherry much darker, because it's much darker. And also now I can see that the difference between the photo reference and between my painting, the reflection is too like it should be much darker. I can see it right now, but when I was painting it wasn't such obvious. So always check on this, no, on the contrasts that you have on your painting. Right now let's add a little bit of the shadows there in the up part of the cherry. Now let's work on the reflection of the table of the other cherry. We should make it darker, so it's dry and we can start working on it. You can see that now I think I did it too much. I did too much of the painting, but you can always lift up the color, and that's what I do frequently, and that's what I'm doing here. With a clean down brush, which I dry with towel paper. I just lift up the color so it doesn't look such like bright. Sometimes you should repeat this several times, because the color always, well, while it's still wet, it always wants to come back. So sometimes you should repeat it several times, depending on the result you want to see. Now I decided to take off, lift up the color here as well. I wetted the area, and after with a clean damp brush I just lifted up the color. Now let's use some greenish yellow to work a little bit on the twigs while the cherries are drying. So I just covered the twigs with this yellow green color. I cover them all with this color, so we can see a little bit like the whole picture, how it will look like. Let's set it here as well. Yeah, I think this little palette gives you like a very nice look, and after you can see the colors which you used. Here I'm using olive green to add a little bit of shadow on the twig. So actually you can use any green, just remember that you go from the lighter, and normally the light is always a warm color and the shadow normally is a cold color. So let's work on the reflection of the other cherry. We are going to make it a little bit darker. If you feel that it's too dark, you just lift up the color like I did several times already. I think we should add more color and make it darker here on this part of the cherry. So I'm just using the color I had on my palette, and I'm adding it here, and after I blend it very well so it doesn't have those strict and unblended lines, because I think it's what ruins. Well, not ruins, but it's just not the style I'm going to I want to achieve in this watercolor. No, I want it to be more realistic. Initially I wanted it to be loose, but well, it came out like this, so it's okay. No, I just follow my heart when I paint. No, so here I'm working a little bit more on the reflection of the cherry. It should be darker, so I made it a little bit darker. And let's go back to the twig. I mixed a green color, but I decided that I want to go back to the cherry. So I'm making a little like a darker the part of the top up part of the cherry. No, and now yes, let's go back to the twig. I'm adding I wanted to add a little bit of brown, so I'm mixing green, olive green, with a little bit of red. You can use any red, and if you mix green and red you have just brown, and it's a beautiful brown. And you add it like on the top of the twig. And now the shadows, I'm going to cover them with a sap green. I really love this color for the greens I paint. No, it's very beautiful and doesn't like it's not a screaming color, you know. It's a beautiful color. So you can see that the right part of the twig is darker because it's where the shadow goes, and you can also see that the twig of the right cherry is almost like shadow everywhere, no? So you add much more of the sap green. And now let's see, let's mix some color for the shadow. And here I'm using indigo and sepia for this mix. So you add it right down the cherries, and after you clean the brush and after you kind of blend it to the right side, so it's always darker right down the cherry, like you can see on the photo reference. Well, you try to repeat what you see. And now what I'm going to do is to compare the so this is photo reference that I applied the black and white filter on my phone. And now I'm going to do the same with my painting, and you can see the difference that the reflection of the table is much lighter on my painting. So what I'm going to do now is to make it darker, and well, that's what I'm going to do again with the same colors. I apply red and I mix it with a little bit of the blue color that we use here, and we apply it to the reflection of the table. And let's make a little darker the bottom part here. Now let's work on the other cherry. I'm going to make the mix with more red color, and I'm going to apply it as well there on the reflection of the table, but I leave the lighter part near the reflection of the other cherry, and I blend well the color that I applied near that reflection. So I'm just covering here, and after I think I'm going to leave the color a little bit as well. This right part of the cherry, I'm going to make it darker too. Here I'm lifting the color near the other reflection, so it looks nice. I like it. Okay, so now it looks better. Here as well I'm going to lift a little bit the color, and let's now move again to the other cherry. The bottom part I'm going to make it even more darker with this violet mix, and I blend well this line so it doesn't look very like straight, no? Here as well a little bit of a dark part. Also, we should always remember that when the watercolor dries, it becomes much lighter. So probably you will need to apply many layers, as I did. Just I don't remember how many layers I already applied here. Okay, so now it looks better. The cherries, and I'm going to add a little bit of more of a sub green here on the twig, so I make the shadow darker, and I added a bit more here as well. With a twig it's quite easy. You just leave the light part as it, and you add the shadow with a sub green, and you can add it like where you see it on the photo. It's quite the same as we did with the cherries. Okay, you add the shadow, you blend it a little bit, you add the shadow with the sub green, you can add a little bit of blue, so you make it darker, and yes, you can add shadow as well here. And now with a clean brush that you dry a little bit with a paper towel, you blend the shadow a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to cover that spot that I have here because I added too much water, and I'm going to make it a little bit darker. After I added the color, I'm going to blend it very well with a wet clean brush, so it doesn't have the like border, and it look very even, no? Now let's make the shadow darker using the same mix of indigo and sepia. We are going to add right down the cherries, the darkest part of the shadow. Also, I'm going to add the same mix here on the stem, and blend the shadow very well with a clean and not dry, but I take off the excess of the water with a paper towel. It's very important to manage how much water has your brush, because if you have too much water on your brush, the color it becomes like uneven, and it may create some like kind of spots we don't want to have there. Let's go back to the first cherry and make darker the part that touches the table, because it's, you can see on the photo reference, it's quite dark part. And let's do the same with the other cherry as well. We make the line and we blend it very well. And this is the last step we are taking here. I think we are done with our cherries. I think they look beautiful. Thank you for watching. Thank you for painting with me. Please share your results in my Facebook group. I would be glad to see them. Let's make a little bit darker the shadow under the cherry. So it like grounds the cherries even better. It looks more realistic. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Remember that the most important part is to enjoy. Yes, please share your results. You're welcome on my Etsy shop, where you can find the PDF tutorial as well for those cherries. So you can find there the outline, and you can find some other tutorials, PDF, and other outlines. For example, I have a very nice Avocado tutorial PDF that includes the painting in real life. I will show it how it looks like here. So you can also paint using this tutorial. It's quite easy. I will leave the link in the description box. I like painting with PDF tutorials because sometimes it's a bit difficult for me to watch the video and to listen, but in this PDF tutorial you can see well, you can see all the steps with description, the colors you need, and also if you want to check the video in the real time, you can have it. Now I'm going to make a little bit darker this part of the right cherry, just a little bit. I'm adding more violet color, and here more like a blue color, and I'm blending it very well. And that's it, our beautiful realistic cherries are ready. Thank you for painting with me. I hope to see you soon back on my channel. Bye.